Hi guys, so time travel is real. Okay, that's what I'm gonna start off with. I do want to thank you, all of you guys, for your comments. Some of my videos are getting a lot more comments than usual, and I am really happy that you guys appreciate the content. I wanted to thank, I think she's a subscriber of mine, Bruna Mara S. Brandt. She always gives me suggestions on books to read. I just wanted to thank you for your recommendation for the Psychic Sasquatch book. I was reading through it and then I kept reading a little bit more, and then I kind of fell off of it because I wasn't really drawn to it. And then so I just stopped reading it. I just kind of skimmed through the rest, and then that was the end of that. And then someone else also, I can't find your comment, but someone else recommended I read The Children of the Law of One, The Lost Teachings of Atlantis. So I skimmed through that one. I wasn't resonating with it. Not that I don't like it, but it's just like, I want to read stuff that I feel drawn to. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, I just wasn't drawn to that book. But doesn't mean the information is incorrect. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay. So hopefully you too don't feel upset that I didn't read it all. But I just, I have to read stuff that I'm like hooked on. And this book that I'm doing the review on today is exactly that. So nobody recommended this to me, but it is a, so we know past life regressions are obviously going into the past. And this is actually, what do they call it? They call it life progressions. Yeah, life progressions. So life progressions is moving into the future. I saw this book on Amazon a long time ago, but not with this cover. It was like a different cover, but the title had caught my eye, and I don't know what it was, but I was going through Amazon again, and then this, I was just drawn to it, and I knew I had to read it. And I'm so glad I did. It is so good. If you like Dolores Cannon material, you'll really like this one. And I really like Dolores Cannon material. So this is Time Travelers from Our Future by Dr. Bruce Goldberg. And it says it's a 5th dimension odyssey. So that's that. That's the back. I never show the back. That's the back. That's the spine. I hope this video doesn't hit the hour mark. I'm gonna try to go really, really fast because I hate hour videos because it takes forever to post. So as with all my books, it's not even a review really. It's just like, I'm just giving you guys the meat and potatoes of the book, the highlights of the book. But you still have to read this book. Like, even though I give you a lot of really good information, you still have to read this book. There's a lot of good stories in here. So first I have to preface it with the way I interpret like reality, really. So basically, a lot of people really believe you either are like predestined or free will, right? So I know it's very hard to grasp and believe, but in actuality, both realities exist simultaneously. So this is why they're able to see into the future, because obviously there's infinite timelines, right? There's infinite timelines, and every future that you look at, or whatever future you look at, like for example in a psychic reading or a tarot reading, I believe that is the timeline that you are most tuned to frequency-wise in the current now moment. So let's say you're in a really, really bad mood, and a psychic gives you a reading on your future or whatever. It could be like the most horrible, terrible reading, right? It's because you're in a low vibration. So it's tuning to that timeline frequency if you remain in that vibration. That's the way I interpret it. I don't know how everyone else interprets it. I don't really care, but that is just my truth. So another thing before I start on my notes, so weird. So if you guys know, Comic-Con, I'm wearing a Marvel shirt. if you guys know, Comic-Con, Kevin Feige announced that Marvel was going to release the Kang Dynasty Avengers movie, right? Okay, anyways, besides the point, Kang in the Marvel comic books is a time traveler from the 31st century. I don't know if I've told you guys this, but I believe the Marvel characters are all channeled. I believe there's multiple universes where all of that is real. One of the things that gave me really big goosebumps, not really big goosebumps, but gave me a lot of goosebumps, was when I read in this book that time travel was invented in the 31st century. And Kang the Conqueror, the character in Marvel Comics, he is from the 31st century, and he's known for being a conqueror that time travels through different timelines to basically conquer all realities. Isn't that so weird? When I read this, I got the most goosebumps because I put two and two together. I was like, 31st century? That's so... Wait. I was like, oh my god, that's so scary. Anyways, let's just start with the notes. So, it is physically impossible to separate space from time. This time is not a fourth dimension of space, but a fourth dimension of the four-dimensional space-time continuum. Let me see. So this little, what I'm going to go over right now shows you like a little overview of what the book's about. So here it says, we will discuss examples of people who have traveled back, forward, and sideways through time and have documented their travels, teleportation cases, hyperspace travel, and hyper-universes, a paradigm that shows the aliens, UFO abductees encounters are supervised by us in the distant future, consciousness, time, ancient continents of Atlantis, Lemuria, and they also discuss Mu a lot. Dreamtime, examples of how some angelic encounters are actually experiences with these time travelers, examples of how the same individual has been abducted by the very same time travelers in several of their past lives, the precise mechanism to explain how a time traveler can move through solid objects and observe us while remaining invisible, out-of-body experiences in time travel, modern theories of time travel demonstrating its possibility and that it does not violate the principle of causality, a model of a five-dimensional universe containing parallel universes, past life regression, age progression, future life progression, and parallel universes, self-hypnosis exercises that will allow you to travel back or forward in time and custom design your own destiny. How to use these time travel principles to attain spiritual growth, and how time travel through hypnosis to past and future lives demonstrates life after death. If you are here, hopefully you already know that there obviously is life after death. And I think you guys know, if you've been following me for a while, that I never used to believe in reincarnation, like literally not at all, because being raised as a Catholic, you obviously are just trained to believe that you go straight to heaven and that's it. But that's clearly not the case. If you don't believe that, really doesn't matter, because it's the actual truth. Just go look at the millions of cases of people accessing their past lives, even future lives too, and there's a lot of proof out there, such as like the kids that are being born and explaining to their parents as soon as they can talk that, oh, this mark from my body was from my last life, blah blah blah, you know, things like that, like really weird stuff. So don't even try to argue it, because yeah, you're gonna lose that real easily. So also I want to say that this book is very heavy on Egypt, ancient Egypt, I can't talk, ancient Egypt, Mu, Lemuria, and Atlantis. There is a lot of information of that towards the middle of the book. So yeah, okay, I'm just gonna read straight from the book, okay? So I am reading from page 51. Um, so there are duplicate yous and me's in each of these parallel universes. The exact outcome of these futures are different depending on our actions and choices that we make. Our consciousness can only recognize one frequency at a time. This is the reason you are not now aware of your other parallel selves in the present. You can describe these frequencies as follows. He has a chart here, but I don't know, I don't really resonate with it. So see, I don't just blindly believe everything that I read, you guys. There's a lot of stuff that I take and leave, just like you can do with all the information I give you here. So the fifth dimension is infinite, as quantum physics states that whenever we think of another possibility, we create another parallel universe. My clinical experience since 1977 of conducting over 6,000 hypnotic age progressions and future life progressions, along with over 27,000 past life and parallel explorations, reveals that there are 5 broad categories of frequencies. Each parallel universe class has an infinite number of subdivisions. So clearly this guy has a lot of experience under his belt, and I respect it. I mean, you just gotta respect it. All of these years and all of these regressions, Jesus. So to comprehend this concept, consider all 5 of our parallel selves in the same location at the same time. This is a type of hologram. Each parallel universe is simply an optional path of our 5-dimensional being. When we think of a past or future event in our current parallel universe as a frequency, the one that we are aware of at this moment, it is a part of history, existing in simultaneous time and a component of probable parallel universes, never ending as we continually create additional universes. This supernatural or beyond physicality of a 5-dimensional paradigm cannot appear to us within our 3-dimensional world unless we enter into an altered state of consciousness, such as in hypnosis, OBEs, or meditation, and globally assess these dimensions. OBEs are out-of-body experiences. Another example of this oh my god, the word, I can't even say it. You know what I'm trying to say. Of time is that each parallel universe is part of an expanding universe, an expansion that is not occurring in physical space. So it doesn't take up time per se. Every event takes place at the same moment in time. There is no beginning or end to these occurrences, as we have been misprogrammed to believe. We think of physical space as a representation of mental or inner space of consciousness. This mental space contains an infinite number of probable events. Some of these possibilities are contrary to our beliefs and are less likely to occur in our present awareness parallel universe. It is our consciousness that creates our reality in the form of these 5 major paths or parallel universes. Each of these worlds exists at the same time and location. When we choose to observe them, such as in hypnosis, and only when we observe them, do they become part of our reality. Each and every one of these parallel universes contains yous and me's superimposed upon each other. This applies to past lives, our current lifetime, and future incarnations. So can we alter the past? Quantum physics says we can, depending on the degree of observability. The more observed an event is, the less we can change it. This is so wild, you guys. I don't know how many of you believe this, but just listen to this. Let us assume that you were a caveman living 50,000 years ago and you murdered a competitor. If nobody observed this occurrence, theoretically, it could be altered now. However, we can't do much about World War II since it made all of the headlines. This becomes even more complex if we consider the Big Bang Theory that supposedly explains the creation of our universe. If humans weren't around to observe it, this could not have happened, according to quantum physics. The new physics explains the Big Bang by stating that we create this theoretical paradigm 15 billion years later. Since all time is simultaneous, it is occurring now. And this mental observation results in an observed event or possible event that creates a Big Bang 15 billion years ago, which is actually right now. Now you can understand why, when I mention quantum physics, most people simply walk away. In this competitor case, we can uncreate the murder since it was not observed by others. This does permit a form of rewriting history, but only to the extent that the event we want to alter was observed. Another solution to this enigma is simply to create a parallel universe where the competitor is alive and well after interacting with you, and switch tracks to this frequency. Now, the Lieutenant Columbos of prehistory will leave you alone, and your personal karmic cycle will also bear one less lesson to learn. Wild, right? I also have these notes here. So chapter 4 talks about 2 different people who've been abducted in several lifetimes by the same time travelers. The last person was being abducted by a time traveler who was her 3 times great grandson. Okay, and then so chapter 6 shows examples of how the Men in Black always act to suppress the release of information concerning time travelers or ETs, and throughout history their pattern of behavior has remained unchanged, clearly. Yeah, so basically it just shows that the Men in Black have literally been around forever. Honestly, it's so weird because they obviously must come from the future. So that basically explains it. Now I'm on page 156. Okay. Lastly, we should mention the Zeta Reticuli civilization. This distant cousin of the Lyrans are the little grays that is most often portrayed by Hollywood. This group is 3 to 4 feet tall, bald, frail looking, with lidless, large eyes and have heads that appear quite large in proportion to the rest of their body. If they have a nose or ears, it's small. Their civilization almost destroyed itself, and now they are sterile. This species underwent cloning and major genetic engineering to end up as their present form. In order to cleanse themselves of their past, they bred out emotions. We find this ET group commonly abducting humans for egg and sperm samples. This is also why time traveler teams obtain these samples. Our ability to reproduce is their only salvation from extinction. Many hybrids have been produced from interbreeding between our races. Reportedly, the Zetas lived on Mars over 1 million years ago, and a nuclear war almost entirely annihilated their race. Since dimensional travel was unknown to the Lyrans, except the Pleiadians, until relatively recently, a form of cryogenics, or suspended animation, was used for the long flight in space. The humans of ancient civilization were trained to awaken these ETs from their deep sleep. All ETs were viewed as gods coming from the sky, so heaven was considered to be in the sky rather than within our own consciousness. Since the ETs, or gods, came from the sky, the location of the gods must be high above the earth, which is where the concept of heaven comes in, as we know it. But obviously, like, heaven does exist in the way that you can go back to source or God. Obviously, we all know that, knowing all the hypnotic regression material that we know and are aware of. Whatever. Why does my throat get so dry when I film a video, but not when I'm talking all day long at work? So weird. And I just drank like a whole bottle of water. So obviously what happens when you die is whatever you believe, right? Until your guardian angel or whatever, something happens, different ways it can happen, but until you're actually sent to pure source, or you do your lifetime review with the council, and then leads you directly into your next life, or you can go back to source to basically recuperate and refresh, and then you go back to your next incarnation. That's how it works. So yeah, you can create your own reality right after you pass over. These cryogenic devices resembled our coffins of today. The deduction made by our ancestors was that in order to get to heaven, The body must be placed in a coffin and preserved by following an intricate series of steps. The ancient Egyptians would use the mummification procedures obtained from Atlantis to achieve this end. Now I'm on page 166. Okay. As Egypt finally became united around 3100 BC, the high priests decided to increase their control over the masses by instilling fear even further. They devised the concept of the devil and hell to effect this. One day they just made up the concept of the devil and hell, a concept that has infiltrated through just about every religion and is alive and well today. Apophis, I think that's how you say it, is described in the Egyptian Book of the Dead as the serpent of the Tuat, or underworld, that attacked the sun god Ra daily in an attempt to prevent the sun from rising. This figure is the first depiction of the devil. Lewis Gray describes the Egyptian concept of hell as follows. Actually, no, I'm not gonna read that. Okay. When we leave our body and travel to the astral plane, there are two possible sites. One is the upper astral plane, which is pleasant and a spiritually lifting experience. This would easily be misconstrued as heaven, or when you're having a really good dream, I would say. If you travel to the lower astral plane, strange and dysfunctional entities will be seen by you. This was the hell the Egyptian priests tried to depict. They invented the devil to instill even greater fear, and it worked. And then I would say the lower astral plane would be obviously when you have nightmares and stuff, or easily psychically attacked in your dreams. What was I gonna say about that? Oh yeah, so honestly, I don't know what to believe about the whole like devil, Satan, hell concepts. We keep getting so many different origins for the creation of that, for those things. In all of these spiritual books, they all have different explanations for the creation of the devil, hell, and Satan, and like these evil beings. They're also different. I really don't know what to tell you because I don't know which one would be my truth. I really don't know. I kind of really don't care anymore about that. I used to always wonder like why was the devil created? Why was this created? You know, like all this stuff. It's just like, I don't really care anymore. Okay. Oh, okay. So out of this entire video, this part that I'm going to read right now is the beginning of chapter 8 in 176. This has to be the most crazy information. So once again, take it or leave it. So the chapter is called Time Travelers I Have Met. Before I describe 9 time travelers I have encountered in hyperspace, a summary of the next 1,000 years is in order. These events lead up to the time when time travel will be discovered. Oh, let me tell you, before I even read, I feel like a lot of these are very far off for no reason. Look at how far we've come in technology in 100 years. These timelines are very stretched, I believe. I think he's tapping into a timeline that is where we are like super slow, technologically progressive. We're like, and then remember that they have secret technology that we don't even know about. So just imagine that. So I think these timelines are a little stretched, and a lot of this will happen way sooner than what this says. So that's just my 2 cents on it. Yeah, so he's saying here that this is all from his hypnotic progressions into future lives. He says here, this is from parallel universes, so you may not actually experience this future if you are on a different frequency. So for a comprehensive treatment of this topic, oh, okay, never mind, skip that. Okay. So this was written in like 1990 something. So he says here that there will not be a doomsday in the year 2000. No significant earthquakes causing massive loss of life will occur until the year 2050. In that year, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and New York will suffer devastating property damage mostly. Absolutely no nuclear wars will take place until the 24th century. So the thing about Los Angeles and New York, I truly believe that you should not be living in any coast. I think you should not be living in any coast for a while. Like, I couldn't even enjoy it. Like, living so close to the ocean with the way the world is shifting, like literally the way the planet is shifting, I would not trust it. I would get as far away from the ocean as I could. During the 21st century, world peace will finally become a reality. Peace lasts for 300 years. The earth will undergo geographical changes. Scientific progress will be most evident. Hunger, greed, jealousy, prejudice, and other negative aspects of society seem to have been almost entirely eliminated by the end of the 21st century. Solar power will be incorporated into everyday life in the 22nd century. The lifespan of the average adult will be increased to over 90 years. Cancer and AIDS are finally cured. The 23rd century will be characterized by noiseless and efficient transportation. Nuclear power is used extensively and is clean and safe. Experiments in weather control are a top priority. The average lifespan is now over 110. Politically, the Earth is democratic with two major groups. One is called the Western Federation of Nations and is composed of North America, including the US, South America, Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. The Eastern Alliance is the other group and is made up of Russia, China, Japan, Southeast Asia, New Zealand, and Australia. A small-scale nuclear war occurs in the 24th century. Further geographical changes take place on the Earth's surface, and the League of One is the democratic form of government for the entire planet now, replacing the Western Federation and the Eastern Alliance. It is during the 25th century that we finally control the weather. Androids are used to perform all menial tasks. A major nuclear war reduces the world's population to less than 1 billion people. This is in the 25th century, you guys. Underwater cities, genetic engineering, and interplanetary travel dominate the 26th century. We will have regular contact with extraterrestrials. Information pills will keep citizens well informed. So interesting. The lifespan is increased to over 125 years. Sickness and disease are almost unknown. During the 28th century, the League of One is replaced by the Atlantic and Pacific Federations. These groups are also democratic and are composed of the same nations that were a part of the old Western Federation and Eastern Alliance. There are no wars, and people live to be about 150 at this time. I have to interject really quick. I'm scared to read Dolores Cannon's book, Conversations with Nostradamus, all 3 volumes. I really, really, really want to. Like, I really want to. But I am the kind of person that if I know about a future reality, I will make that reality come true. And I feel like Nostradamus has a lot of bad prophecies and like bad, just like bad futures. So I'm like scared to read that. And I don't know if I ever will actually, because yeah, if it's in my head, it'll become a reality. It's so weird. So this paradigm of the whole no wars and stuff continues to be the reality until the 31st century, when we finally master time travel. At this time, time travelers from our future begin to go back in time to not only 20th century, but all the way back to millions of years into prehistory to supervise both our evolution and spiritual growth. Each group of time travelers wears either jumpsuits or robes, with the pure humans favoring the latter. A team may consist of all humans or a combination of the 4 groups I described in chapter 2. A pure human is always in charge of a time traveler team. What is interesting about our future is the fact that while today we view ETs as superior to our race intellectually and technologically, in the future our human race is the more advanced one. Abductions are conducted by time travelers, and genetic experiments are most definitely carried out. But the main purpose of these chrononauts is to assist our spiritual growth. Only the chrononauts from the 31st to 33rd centuries participate in these abductions. Time travelers are us in the future, and their ability to ascend is tied in somehow to our level of spirituality. It is to their advantage to see to our spiritual maturation. I don't know if I ever have it in the notes here, but the whole point of everything is for us to spiritually grow faster, for our evolutionary spiritual growth to be faster. This is why they're doing the abductions next to the genetic engineering and stuff. Besides that, if they help us ascend faster, If they help us ascend faster, they ascend faster. So it's like a ripple effect. That's the whole point of everything. The time traveler ETs and hybrids I described are not really ETs since they live on Earth in our future. Their genetic base is extraterrestrial, but so is ours according to them. So a lot of stories in his field are basically that all of these like Pleiadians, like these gold-haired beings, all of these abductions that are currently going on in the past couple of years or whatever, forever, all of these abductions that go on and are like ET related, a lot of them, and I never thought of this, a lot of them are literally us in the future. A lot of them are not, it's like us in the fifth dimension, I guess you could say. Like being more high vibrational, being more like literally Pleiadians. So it's us in the future. So yeah. So more characteristics of these time travelers, just gonna mention a few. They can travel through hyperspace and move interdimensionally, as well as move through solid objects. These beings can remain invisible by functioning at a frequency, vibrational rate far beyond our level. They use holograms to show us our past and future. Whenever they choose a chrononaut, can induce a state of suspended animation on us and telepathically communicate with our consciousness, our subconscious. Time travelers can enter our dreams and function as spirit guides and angelic beings helping us in time of need. Never heard of that before, but that's very interesting. Chrononauts have mastered advanced medical techniques called quantum medicine, in which they can replace lost limbs and literally resuscitate the dead if initiated within 20 hours of physical death. So interesting. I don't know how that works because The time travelers from 1,000 to 1,500 years in our future make many mistakes and come to our century in spaceships. Those from 1,500 to 3,000 years ahead in the future are far superior in their manipulation of time and space and can teleport themselves anywhere instantly. Okay, since teleportation, I'm on page 192. Since teleportation is utilized by Traxa, let me briefly describe how he travels. Chrononauts from the 35th century on use a type of fifth dimensional computer chip to determine precisely where to travel back or forward in time and which particular parallel universe to arrive. They carry a small camera-like device that connects them to a rather advanced master computer. This is roughly similar to our computer-controlled jet airliners today. Now I'm in page 211. 3 more pages. Okay, in voyaging through time, there are certain rules and limitations you need to be aware of. Here are some principles that reflect my training over 11,000 patients in the art of time travel, as well as my own personal time excursions. Before I forget, I have to say really quick. The last chapter is literally like 50 pages of him showing you how to do your own hypnosis. It's so amazing and awesome, and I don't know if I want to try it on myself. I'd rather have a professional do it to me, to be honest, but I still have to. I think maybe next year I feel maybe called to finally do the past life regressions and then the age progressions. I think I want to do it next year. I think I'll be ready then. So yes, there are only certain time periods and locations that you are capable of visiting due to your karmic growth as a soul, and so that you don't interfere with the universe's overall plan. Some dates and places are beyond your grasp. It is difficult to specifically go to an exact time, as time travel appears quite sporadic. For example, you may easily move ahead 3 days in time, but have great difficulty in viewing as an occurrence on an hour in the future. These windows in time are unique to each individual, so some people may find it easy to travel 500 or 1,000 years back or forward in time, but considerably shorter travel intervals are out of their reach. Traveling back in time several hundred years to a scene that takes only a few seconds of time in that bygone era requires perhaps several minutes in the present time frame. Going into the future by 500 or 600 years to an episode that encompasses several weeks in, for example, the 26th century requires only a few minutes in the present to explore. Colors appear duller as we voyage back in time. A black on white monochrome-like effect is commonly observed if we travel great distances back in time. Traveling into the future results in sharpening of color perception. The farther ahead in time we travel, the more brilliant these colors appear. Placing ourselves in the 28th century may very well result in a psychedelic display of colors. This paradigm may also apply to our other senses. With experience, you can control your time traveling to the extent that it can assist your personal or professional life. For instance, these techniques can be used to go into the future by one day to view a business meeting or social date. You not only have the opportunity to overview this exchange, but may be able to maximize your goal because that individual will now feel more comfortable with you, since he or she will have a feeling that they have met you before. Always maintain a high code of ethics when using time travel exercises. Never attempt to manipulate others through time travel. Any such unethical motives will be noted by the universe, and karmic laws are such that you will lose in the long run. We all know that. Wait, 2 more pages, you guys. Now I'm in 229. So, dreams of the future. It is well established in the scientific literature that any type of altered state of consciousness may produce precognitive experiences. Dreams are another example of an altered state of consciousness. 2 major theories have been postulated to explain precognitive dreams. One approach views the future as already existing in a complete form, not unlike our present. This suggests predestination and goes against my entire clinical experience, as well as quantum physics. The second explanation considers the future as plastic. Our actions alter this potential future, and parallel universes exist for us to occupy at the same time. A skeptical and conventional scientist might attempt to explain precognition as a form of deja vu or paramnesia, a defect in memory during which the individual experiences a confused sense of time. Cases of deja vu, of double deja vu, in which 2 people experience the same precognitive dream, should put this antiquated theory to rest once and for all. One more page. Okay. This is the last page. Okay. I can share a lot more with you, but honestly, just read the book. You know, I always say that. Just read the book. It's so much better than watching a video. I know you want to get a synopsis of what the book's about and what it entails, but if you've made it this far in the video, I think you're gonna like the book. I'm on page 248. We must understand that according to quantum mechanics, we are much more than external observers of the universe. We cannot separate ourselves from the very events that we are observing, and these observations determine the final outcome of the events themselves. It is our consciousness that defines the past, present, and future, not the universe. There is thus no violation of causality in traveling back, sideways, or forward in time. We, in effect, create our own reality through the use of our own mind. Our minds are time machines and are capable of traveling into the past, future, and parallel time periods to give meaning to our existence on this planet, and, if used properly, to physically empower us to achieve our true karmic purpose. This higher form of quantum reality is necessary to us achieving our destiny through the tunnel of time.